Parents, you may have heard of aphantasia, or you may not have heard of it at all. But you might have had this thought, is this what my child is experiencing? And I want to tell you something right now. A lot of what you're going to see online, the Google images, the social media posts, the explanations, they're not giving you the full picture. Most of the time, aphantasia is explained like this. You'll see 5 images of an apple. One is bright, vivid, clear. The next a bit faded, then blurry, then gray, then nothing. And it looks simple, but it's actually far too simple because as humans, we're not just thinking in one static picture at a time. And if we were, that would massively limit how we understand the world. Think about it. If I say there's a family in an orchard picking apples to make a pie, you're not just picturing one apple, you're picturing a scene, movement, people, relationships, a sequence. It's a movie. Let's take a simple maths problem. Sally has 10 apples. She drops 1, gives 2 to Pizza. How many does she have left? To understand that, you're not just picturing apples. You're picturing Sally holding them, 1 falling down, 2 being handed over, what's left at the end. Again, it's a movie. And this is where things become really important. Because if his child is struggling to build that movie, language becomes harder, comprehension becomes harder, and communication starts to break down. So yes, if someone has aphantasia, their movie is going to look different. But it's not just clear image versus no image. It can show up in different ways. Maybe they don't see pictures at all, but they know the information. Maybe their images are unstable or hard to hold. Maybe they can picture some things, but not when language gets longer. Maybe movement is missing or sequencing is unclear. Maybe they default to facts instead of imagery. And this is where it overlaps with what many parents notice. My child knows things, but they can't tell me about them. Now, this isn't just anecdotal. Research is starting to explore this connection more deeply. For example, the study, Aphantasia and Autism, an investigation of mental imagery vividness, King, Buxton, and Tyndall, 2024, looked at how imagery vividness differs in autistic individuals. What they found is that there can be reduced vividness or differences in how mental imagery is experienced. And then more recent work, like exploring the association between mental imagery, sensory sensitivity, and autistic traits, Taylor, Sumner, Singh, and Jones, 2026, goes even further. It shows links between mental imagery, sensory processing, autistic traits. And what's really important here is this. It's not just about seeing pictures in your mind. It's about how the brain processes and integrates that information. So when we talk about aphantasia in autistic individuals, we're often talking about differences in how language is turned into that imagery. That imagery is held and then manipulated and then expressed back as communication. This is why you might see things like difficulty answering, "How was your day?" Struggling with story problems, giving very minimal or very factual answers, getting stuck in scripts or repetitive topics, zoning out when language gets too long or complicated. Because if that movie isn't clear, the brain has nothing stable to pull from. And here's the part that often completely gets missed. Schools expect children to be able to do this automatically. They expect them to listen or read, picture, understand, and respond. But they're not explicitly taught or explicitly supported in how to do that. And this is where everything changes, because aphantasia, or traits of it, are not just something you accept and just move on from. There are very specific ways to support a child in building their imagery, stabilizing it, expanding it, and connecting it to language. Not just by saying, picture it, but by actually developing the brain processes responsible for this step by step. If you're listening to this and thinking, my goodness, that sounds like my child, but I don't actually know what's going underneath or what to do next, this is where I would start. I've put together a free masterclass where I break this down into 3 simple steps: what is happening in the brain, what to look for, and what you can actually start doing at home, your own home, with your child. And you can find that all in the link below. And if this gave you a little bit of clarity today, and you're thinking you already understand your child a little bit better, I can tell you that you're moving in the right direction.